Hi, so welcome to MindMajix. So Red Hat Linux Administration is a training demo. About the MindMajix, is a MindMajix have a up to 10 years experience. It's a completely reputed corporation around the globe. So 9 plus of experience is surviving the learning the industry as a different technologies. It's about mean 450,000 professional have the got a training to certify. So MindMajix, the industry is really active the certification based as a curriculum. So MindMajix is technologies as a delivery live the online trainings, as a corporate training and self and paced the videos. Is a reputed company from MindMajix. About myself as a 13 plus of experiences in real time as a different technologies as a CCNA, a routing and switching, as a advanced professional routing and switching, who are certified in CCN and CCNP and Red Hat certified system administrator, Red Hat certified engineer. So last 13 years experience, the completely we are working on the senior expert Linux administrator, as well as along with as a AWS solution architect or AWS solution professional and Azure as a Google Cloud, as a many more technology is working on as an expert from that architect all cloud sectors. So today's agenda. So what is the Linux operating system? So how many type of operating system? In type of operating system, then you want to go to the Linux operating system. The introduction about the operating system for Linux. As a course curriculum, the first about the Linux operating system. In Linux operating system, have a two type of commands. One is the basic command, this is essential commands, as well as advanced command, that is common filter commands. Every Linux operating system is essential for basics and filter commands. Any Linux flavors, the must we have to know that the Linux file systems as a different of our file systems as a Unix related, all Unix flavors as a Linux flavors. Then next mean the partition management. So what are the partitions? So how many type of hard disk? IDE hard disk, SCSI hard disk, SATA hard disk, SSD hard disk. So integrated digital and small computer system interfaces, serial advanced technology archer, solid state disk. How to create the partition? The partition management is a primary partition, extended partition, a logical partition, as a many type of partitions. In IT industry, any kind of servers, a database servers and application servers, a standalone application or web-based application, any kind of the must and should be required the LVM concept. So what is the LVM? LVM nothing but advanced the partition management as a mapper drive, as a shared drive, as a learn, as a different type of value manager. There's the LVM concept. In real time, without LVM, there's no any concept of service. The must to need that. Second thing is operating system, the management, and user and group administrations. So what are the users? How many type of users? System users and normal users as a group administration. So how many type of groups? So what is the group administration? What are the user administration? How to file management? So next thing is advanced file system management. How will be transfer the data? How will be share the data? A different type of permissions. Is a basic permissions, as advanced permissions, ACL, access control list, SUID, sticky bit, to avoid the deleting the folders, avoid the deleting the files. This is advanced file processing or meaning for that advanced file system, advanced permissions. This call mean advanced file system management. Next, security of Linux is a very important and security Linux. So why can important from Linux and IT industries as a security? Have a security, different type of security, IP tables, secure, enhanced Linux. That's called me SC Linux, as well as a backup and recovery. How will we take the backup in server to server, a database server, or file system management, then web servers? How to take the backup? Have a different type of tools, SCP tools, rsync as a tar, gzip as a gunzip, as a different type of backup tools. So how can get the recover your data? So how to send the one server to another servers? So how it will take the backup, the database backup, applications backup as a different type of backup, a full backup, incremental backup, differential backup as a different type of backup. How will we take on that? Next, when remote administration package management. For example, in real-time scenarios, so never will go to the end user. So every system get the any fault toler, then you can access via remotely. So how can you get the remotely your system? There's a third party tools, a teamware, TViewer, AnyDesk, Amway, a third-party application. Any Linux operating system is not recommended to depend on the third party. As an inbuilt of our tools, as inbuilt tools, that means SSH is important, SSH secure shell, as a remote administration package management, as a different type of things. Next means process and package management, how to install the packages, how to uninstall the packages, how to update the packages. Package is nothing but softwares. How to install the software, how to download the softwares, what type of prompt you want to require. Example Windows .exe prompt, but in Linux .rpm, .deb as a different type of prompt. How to download the packages, how to download, how to install the softwares, how to uninstall the softwares, how to update the softwares, how to create the local repository, how to create the global repository. So this is all kind of things. Process and package management, Red Hat package manager, that's called in RPM. So one more thing is advanced repository yellow dog update modifier, package management. Next mean advanced file management as a different type of the compared to Windows and Linux. Windows FAT16, FAT32, NT new technology file system is a main file system. But Linux EX2, extended 2, extended 3, extended 4, extended file system. So what is the difference between FAT16, FAT32 NTFS as well as EXT2, EXT3, EXT4? EXT mean extended, version 3, version 4, XFS, extended file system. So then you want to know the difference between or versus of different file systems. So very important in real-time sector, boot recover and kernel parameter. What is the boot process? What is the OS boot process? Is the Linux boot process. So what are the kernel parameter? What are the initial level? What are the init levels? What are the run levels? What are the target levels? So where can get the boot recovery? What are the bootable files? What are the boot size? So this is the boot recovery and kernel parameter. So very important things in real-time servers. Next, web server with Apache. As a different type of web servers, everybody know about that. Application server, two type of applications. One is the web-based application, one is the standalone application. So how to install the standalone, how to install the web-based application, how can build the DNS, where can buy it the DNS, what is the DNS, IP to name to IP conversion, as a different type of web services, as Apache web services, Tomcat web services, as a many more things. So in worldwide, Apache and Tomcat up to 40% to occupy to our world in universal only web server from Apache. Server configurations as a different type of server configuration. For example, only you have to only Linux environment. How will be shared the data? How can access the remotely can access the data? How to share the data? How to centralize and keep in the store the data? Only Linux environment. Only Linux or Unix environment. How will be shared? How will be transfer the data? How can access the data? How can remote access the data? So this is NFS, a network file system. This is a very important server. For example, as a Linux server, as a different type of Windows machines. So Linux to Windows, how will be shared the data? How can access? How will be share it? How will be file transfer? So those are kind of things as a different server. This is a Samba server. For example, if you want to send the data one location to another location or via email, only 25 MB can possible to send it. But you have the 1 TB data as a 1 exabyte, 1 zettabyte, 1 petabyte. How will be transfer the data? So FTP server, file transfer protocol, very secure file transfer protocol. For example, you have the environment, I mean 1,000 servers, 1,500, 1,000 server, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 servers. How to assign the IP addresses? So very complicated, that right? Very customized the administration effort. That means then you want to go to install dynamic host configuration protocol, DHCP. So, for example, have the application server as a web-based application server, as a standalone application server. So inside the server, the must and should be required the databases. Database mean what? Is a request. You can send it. The customer, it will provide the valuable data. Where you can store it? As a databases. What are the databases? And MySQL databases as a MariaDB databases. So these all are mean inside the real-time environment. So once you have to learn from this, then you can go to directly have to working on any kind of server or application, I mean web-based services, application processing, or production servers, or production-based environment. Then you want to deploy to all softwares. So this is the course curriculum, very important. So Linux training is a content duration. The history of operating system is a few of minutes, mean 30 minutes, 30 up to minutes about operating system. What is the kernel? What is the shell? What is the operating system? So I mean OS architecture. Must you have to know the OS architecture. So how it will work your OS architecture, how it will work your processing your OS. The must you have to know that. History of commands. Before you'll discussion about that, mean basic command, essential commands or filter commands. Linux file system. The any operating system like Red Hat, CentOS, Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, Kali Linux, Magenta, Mazia, Turbo Linux, or any Linux flavors, same file system hierarchy. The practical you can understood from that. So before you can discuss about the partition management. How many type of partition? Primary partition, extended partition, logical partition, hexa code number, as a swap partition. What is the hexa code number? How to change the hexa code number? How to change the primary to extended, extended to logical? Then you want to go to partition management. Next one, logical value manager. You know, advanced it is the mapper drive, the shared drive in Linux. For example, you have the SAN storage area network. You have the 20 hard disks, up to 20 hard disks. So how will we get the combine all physical hard disks to one group? All group, then how to create the logical value? This is advanced partition management, nothing but logical value manager. This I mean up to will take one session, mean up to 30 minutes. User and group administration. So what is the users, what is the user IDs, what is the group IDs, how to modify the group ID, how to modify username, how to access, how to log in. So what is the root user, what is the normal user, how can identify, so how to modify, how to lock the user, how to unlock the user, how to add multiple users to group, how to delete the group, how to become a admin for the group, how to log the user, how to unlock the user management up to take the 120 minutes from two sessions. The huge content from user administration and group administration. So advanced file system. So how will we transfer the data one location to another location? How to remote storage? So has a 30 minutes of the small concept. And security and backup recovery. This will take the 1 hour session. Remote administration as a package management. Before we'll discussion about that package management, RPM, Red Hat Package Manager. What are the verses of RPM and YUM? YUM in yellow dog update modifier. Versus of RPM and YUM, how to install, how to create the local repository, how will get the global repository. So you have the doubt, what the local repository, what the global repository. Come to upcoming classes. Next mean process and package management. So already know packages, softwares, how to install the softwares, how to update, how to uninstall, how to migrate it, how to information about the packages. This is a completely process package managed. So once you boot failure your system, how can retrieve that? Once the root user password, forget it. How can break the root user password? So how to change the target levels? You want to change the CLI mode to GUI mode, GUI to CLI mode. How to change the kernel parameter? This is boot recovery and kernel parameter. This is different of a web services, guys. You know about that mean web services, Apache server and Tomcat server kind of things. Next means server configuration. Before we discussion about Samba. What is a Samba or NFS? NFS mean only Linux or Unix system. How will be communication between the system? How will be store the centralization? You can keep in the store the data. How can access remotely? So this is a kind of helpful NFS server. There's no any option from here. These are additional subject. No worry. Next mean Samba. How to communication between Linux machine to Windows clients. How it will be interaction between the systems. So Samba service can help for you. SMB, server message block, NetBIOS, this is sub protocol. How to install the Samba server, how will be configuration, how can access the Windows system to interact between two Linux servers. So before we discussion about that, mean FTP server, how will be send one location to another location, mean huge data. Unlimited data will be transferred FTP server. So server mean VSFTPD, very secure file transfer protocol daemon. Daemon means services. Next mean dynamic host configuration protocol. Automatically you can assign to IP address to system. So how to install the DHCP server, how to give the ranges of IP addresses. So how many type of IP address, private IP address, public IP address, what type of IP address you can assign here? Automatically private IP address called mean APIPA. In DSCP, how will be assigned automatically IP address? This means DORA, discover, offer, request, acknowledgement. So what is the what is the discover? What is the offer? What is the request? What is the acknowledgement? So this is the dynamic host configuration protocol. It will be very neatly, very clearly we can explain from as a practical from DSCP. Next, coming to point next mean DNS server, domain name system. So what is the public IP address? Why need to DNS? What is the domain name? What is the IP to name to domain? How will be conversion as a different type of zones? Reverse lookup zone, forward lookup zone, and fur and rev, all kind of things. Mail server, send email, have a different third-party tools also. So inbuilt in Linux operating system, send email. How to create the domain name? How will we send the mail? The particular messages. So how will we show the send the message or mails? So this means sent email. Next syslogs. So whenever the down your server, whenever the down your application, whenever the process your application, uptimer, downtimer, and the syslogs, we can helpful syslogs means system information about the logs as a database server as a MariaDB. MariaDB mean as a database service. So database mean, for example, you have the one application, then you can send your name, your education details, your qualification, your experience, phone number, contact number. This is all mean database. Where you can store the databases? As a database service. What is the database server here? In Linux is very popular, the MySQL. Second thing is MariaDB as well as MongoDB as a different type of databases. So MindMajix course completion certifications. So very important from the trend certification or course completion certification. So MindMajix it will provide to certification achievement. So very valuable in the world. So in Linux administration, in Linux course, rapidly is going on the IT industry. So very popular rapidly. So without Linux server, there is no any IT environment. Just you have to know the you have noted from that point. There's no any without server. There's no any IT infrastructure because of it's just security wise, accuracy, speed wise, reliability, portability as a different type of one more thing. Open source is operating system. This means rapidly is going on the Linux servers and applications and web-based standalone application or web-based application or web environment, e-commerce website, many more. So MindMajix will provide to as a many projects here as a real-time project. So what are the web servers? So what are the web servers? So what is the resource if you want to require the web servers? So what type of resource if you want to require? So you want to require domain name, you want to require public IP address, you want to require server, it has a required the hardware as a RAM, as a processor, as a OS, Linux OS, as I mean Apache server, or Tomcat servers, and web content. So these all are how you can get the resources. Then you want to go to install the web servers. It has a one project, a real-time project. It's two projects, guys. One is the HTTP server as well as one more server in Tomcat servers. Second thing is file servers. So how will we transfer the data one system, one location to another location? So I'll give them in. Sometime we'll give the shell scripting also. It will provide the shell scripting with along with the file servers. How will we transfer the wire automatically? The cron tab schedules. So database server, how to install the database server, how to show the databases, how to communicate with the graphical user interfaces. So computer wherever web content stored, the basically server uses the host and websites such as different type of application, storage applications, emails, and e-commerce website, e-commerce data, whatever. All content you can together to one location as web resources. This is called web servers. These I have the three projects along with the practical, the installation, everything. So in entire the course, you can get the doubt. So how to practice? In this course, the minimum required three operating systems. We will teach is the Red Hat. Original in Linux operating is the Red Hat. Second means CentOS. Once you have to learn the Red Hat, then remain all flavors. You can easily operate it. In this course, the minimum requirement three operating system. Two is the Linux machine. One is the Windows machine. So what is the minimum based on your hardware requirement? Then you can get the practice. So one is the virtual server. As a many virtual servers, I'll give you some example when it's the practical time. One is the VMware application. Second one is Oracle VirtualBox. So what is the minimum requirement of the OS? Are Windows 7, or Windows 8, or Windows 10, or Mac, or Linux. No worry. So what is the minimum hardware requirement? Directly then you want to go to install the physical machine, as a P4 system will be sufficient. But has a three machines is required here. Two Linux machines, one is the server, one is the client based. So one of the Windows machine. So three machine, you can't able to get mean three computers. So very complicated to that. Then one physical machine, existing you have the laptop or existing you have desktop or anything. One physical machine, then you want to go to install the more than operating system. This could mean VMware or virtual machine. So minimum requirement i3 processor, VT technology, virtual technology enabled, or i5, i7, i6, whatever processor. In this course, in this hardware, the minimum requirement 8 GB, guys. Some laptop by default have a 4 GB. Okay, no worry. Okay, you try to manage as a 4 GB also, guys. No worry about that. So better to 8 GB, but 4 GB will be sufficient. But you slow your system. But you have to migrate to 8 GB is a better performance your accuracy of your system. So by default nowadays all hardware minimum you will get them in 500 GB or 325 GB. It will be sufficient 325 GB also, guys. Why? Because mean 100 GB by default occupied mean physical missions. So remind mean you want to minimum requirement 100 GB. This mean the minimum 100 to 500 GB is required the hard space. Then you can get the your own lab at your home, at your office, whatever. This is the minimum requirement, guys. Whenever you get the practice at your home, at your lab. So additional course resources. So Linux kernel developers, Linux clustering, Linux development, application development, kernel development, or Linux export has been additional resources. So any courses, this is a basic, this is an advanced course Linux operating system. So when they finish your course, then we'll be prepared. Then we will get directly you can face down your interview. So we will provide enter the real-time interview questions, complete real-time based environment. So what are the troubleshoot levels? This is a run level. What are the run level? How to change the data? So what is the symbolic link? How to create the symbolic link? What is the advantage of net bonding? High availability. What is the inode number process ID? By default, every file and directory. What is the difference between type of Linux? As a different type of flavors of Linux as a file systems. ext, ext3, ext4, xfs. What the LVM is required, then you can share the word data. You can share the word drive as a mapper drive. All physical hard disk. Then you want to get the one combined one single hard disk. Example: you have the 20 hard disk. Each hard disk has a 500 GB. 20 into 5 has approximately 1 TB. So 1 TB data are 25 hard disks. How can you can get one single drive? That is called LVM. That is called valuing group. In valuing group, how much space you want to require, then you can create one partition. That is called logical value. What do you mask? By default permission, file permission will be different, directory permission will be different. Our root user permission will be different. Our normal user files is different. How can get the UMask? Not only this, has a many more the real-time practical interview questions. Then you can get the you can face on your interview. So in Linux training, a demo, questionnaire, any doubts recordings and subjects, course timing, a resource allocation can be discussed with MindMajix. If you want any feedback and free, and feel free. So drop your query and mail and suggestions info@mindmajix.com.